I came home early from my business trip and found my twin daughters locked outside in a storm. The image that haunts me every single night isn't from a horror movie or a nightmare. It's real, and it happened in my own driveway on the worst night of my life. Two small figures, barely visible through the torrential rain, huddled against our front door like abandoned puppies. My 6-year-old twin daughters, Amanda and Miranda, in their soaking wet princess pajamas, holding each other as lightning split the sky above them. Welcome back, my beautiful family and friends. If you're hooked in and you're ready to enjoy the story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow, I'll be bringing you another story just as powerful and emotional as this one. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. My name is David, and what I'm about to tell you will make you question every person you've ever trusted with your children. It'll make you look twice at the people who seem too perfect, too helpful, too eager to become part of your family. Because sometimes, the greatest dangers come wrapped in kindness, carrying casseroles and wearing sympathetic smiles. I want you to listen to every word, every detail, because somewhere out there, someone might be living through the same deception right now. Someone might have a Vanessa in their life, and they don't even know it. If my story saves even one child from what my daughters endured, then reliving this nightmare will be worth every painful memory. But first, I need to ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. Have you ever had a gut feeling about someone that you ignored because they seemed so helpful, so perfect? Drop a comment below and let me know, because I ignored mine, and it nearly destroyed my family. You know, they say lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place. But in my life, it did. The first strike took my wife Michelle when our twins were only 3. The second strike came in the form of a woman who pretended to be our salvation but was actually our damnation. And on that terrible night when I came home early from my business trip, both kinds of lightning were illuminating the truth I'd been too blind to see. The rain was coming down so hard I could barely see the road. I'd left Chicago 6 hours early, canceling my meetings because something in my gut told me I needed to be home. Call it father's intuition, call it divine intervention, call it whatever you want. All I know is that feeling saved my daughters' lives. As I turned onto our street, my windshield wipers struggling against the downpour, I noticed our house was completely dark except for the porch light. Vanessa's car wasn't in the driveway. Strange. She never went anywhere after the girls' bedtime, especially not in weather like this. Then my headlights swept across the front of the house, and my heart stopped. There they were, Amanda and Miranda, pressed against our front door, trying to shelter under the tiny overhang that offered almost no protection from the sideways rain. They were holding hands, their identical faces turned toward my car with expressions of such desperate hope that I can still see them when I close my eyes. I don't even remember putting the car in park. One moment I was driving, the next I was running through the rain, my dress shoes slipping on the wet driveway. The girls saw me and started crying, reaching out their tiny arms, calling, "Daddy, Daddy," over the sound of thunder. When I reached them, when I felt how cold their small bodies were, how violently they were shivering, something inside me broke and reformed into pure, protective rage. But I pushed it down. My babies needed warmth and safety, not anger. Not yet. "Daddy's here," I said, scooping them both into my arms. They weighed nothing, far less than 6-year-olds should weigh. "Daddy's got you. You're safe now." But even as I said those words, carrying them through our front door into the warmth of our home, I knew they hadn't been safe. Not for a long time. And I, their father, their protector, the one person in the world who was supposed to keep them from harm, had failed them completely. The story of how we got to that moment, how I let a monster into our home and called her mother to my children, starts 3 years earlier, on the day my wife Michelle died. But to really understand how Vanessa fooled me so completely, you need to know about the family we were before she destroyed us. Michelle was the kind of woman who made you believe in forever just by the way she smiled. I met her at a medical conference in Atlanta as she was presenting on innovative pediatric therapy techniques, and I was there trying to network for my struggling consulting firm. I wasn't even supposed to attend her session, but the one I'd planned to go to was canceled, and walking into that room changed my entire life. She stood at the podium, her honey-colored hair catching the light, speaking with such passion about helping children overcome developmental challenges that the entire room leaned forward to catch every word. But it wasn't just her expertise that captivated me. It was the way she'd pause to really look at people who asked questions, the way she'd light up when discussing her young patient's progress, the way she somehow made a room full of strangers feel like they were having an intimate conversation with a friend. "Every child has a spark," she said during that presentation, her green eyes scanning the audience. "Our job isn't to create that spark. It's to fan it into a flame." I was gone. Completely, utterly gone. After her session, I did something I'd never done before. I waited by the door like some nervous teenager, pretending to check my phone while working up the courage to talk to her. When she finally emerged, surrounded by other attendees asking questions, our eyes met across the crowd. She smiled this warm, genuine smile that made my knees weak, and somehow, I found myself walking toward her. We talked for 2 hours in that convention center hallway, missing other sessions, forgetting about networking, lost in a conversation that felt like coming home. She told me about growing up in a small town in Georgia, about her 3 younger brothers who she'd helped raise, about her dream of opening her own practice someday. I told her about my struggles to build my business, about my aging parents in Florida, about how I'd been so focused on work that I'd forgotten what it felt like to really connect with someone. Dinner turned into a walk through Centennial Park. The walk turned into coffee the next morning before our flights. Coffee turned into daily phone calls, weekend visits, and within 6 months, I was moving to her city because I couldn't imagine living anywhere she wasn't. We married 2 years later in her parents' backyard, surrounded by her enormous extended family and my small but loving circle. Michelle wore her grandmother's wedding dress, altered to fit perfectly, and when she walked down the aisle, her father whispered to me, "Take care of her, son. She's special." "I know," I whispered back. "I'll protect her with my life." If only I'd known how soon that promise would be tested. The twins came along 3 years into our marriage. Michelle had always wanted children, lots of them. "I want chaos," she'd say, laughing. "I want toys everywhere and sticky fingerprints on the walls, and so much love our house can barely contain it." When we found out she was carrying twins, she cried happy tears for an hour. "2 at once," she kept saying. "David, we're getting 2 at once." Amanda came first, screaming and fierce, letting the world know she'd arrived. Miranda followed 4 minutes later, quiet and observant, seeming to study everything with those big eyes. Michelle held them both, one in each arm, looking at me with such joy it took my breath away. "Our girls," she whispered. "Our perfect girls." Those first 3 years were everything Michelle had dreamed of and more. Chaos? We had it in spades. Our house was a whirlwind of bottles and diapers, first words and first steps, skinned knees and bedtime stories. Michelle reduced her hours at the therapy clinic to spend more time with the girls, and I grew my consulting business from our home office, taking calls while bouncing a fussy baby, typing reports one-handed while feeding bottles. We were tired. God, were we tired. But we were also deliriously happy. Michelle had this way of making even the hardest days feel like adventures. When both girls had the flu and we spent the entire night taking turns cleaning up vomit, she made up silly songs about brave little warriors fighting the germy monsters. When Amanda went through a phase of only eating orange foods, Michelle turned it into a game, finding creative ways to make everything orange. When Miranda refused to sleep unless someone was holding her, Michelle set up a whole schedule where we'd take shifts in the rocking chair, calling it cuddle duty, like it was an honor instead of exhausting. Then came the diagnosis: aggressive breast cancer. Stage 3. Already in her lymph nodes. The oncologist spoke in percentages and treatment plans while I held Michelle's hand, feeling our perfect life crumbling around us. Michelle, being Michelle, asked all the right questions, took notes, made lists. But I saw the fear in her eyes, the same fear that was choking me. For 2 years, she fought with everything she had. Chemotherapy that made her violently ill but never dimmed her spirit. Radiation that burned her skin but couldn't touch her determination. Surgery that took pieces of her body but left her soul intact. Through it all, she still managed to be an incredible mother. Even on her worst days, when she could barely lift her head, she'd have me bring the girls to her bed for story time. She made videos for their future birthdays just in case. She wrote them letters for their graduations, their weddings, the birth of their own children. She prepared for a future she might not see while fighting desperately to be there for it. "If something happens to me," she said one night after a particularly brutal treatment, "you have to promise me something." "Nothing's going to happen," I said automatically. "David, please. I need to say this." She waited until I nodded. "Promise me you won't close yourself off. The girls are going to need a mother figure. And you're going to need someone too. Don't let my death be the end of love in this house." "Michelle, promise me," she insisted. "Promise me you'll be open to love again. That you'll find someone who loves our girls as much as I do. Someone who'll be good to you, who'll help you heal. Promise me." I promised. Of course I promised. I would have promised her anything in that moment. She smiled, satisfied. "Good. Because you deserve to be happy, David. And those girls deserve a complete family." If only she'd known what that promise would lead to. If only she'd known that the woman who would eventually take her place had been circling our family like a vulture, waiting for her chance. Michelle died on a sunny Tuesday morning, holding my hand and making me repeat my promise one last time. The girls were only 3, too young to understand why mommy couldn't come home anymore. Enter Vanessa. She wore kindness like a costume, and I was too grief-stricken to see the seams. The first time she introduced herself, Michelle had just been admitted to the hospice center. I was standing in the hallway, trying to compose myself before going back into the room where my wife lay dying and my 3-year-old daughters were asking why mommy couldn't come home. I must have looked exactly like what I was, a man watching his entire world collapse. "Mr. Thompson?" Her voice was soft, professional, perfectly calibrated to soothe without startling. "I'm Vanessa Martinez, one of the grief counselors here. I know this is an incredibly difficult time, but I wanted you to know I'm here if you need someone to talk to." She was maybe 35, with dark hair pulled back in a neat bun and warm brown eyes that seemed to radiate compassion. Her clothes were professional but approachable, a soft cardigan over a simple dress, the kind of outfit that said, "I'm here to help, not judge." Everything about her seemed designed to put people at ease. Over the next 2 weeks, as Michelle's condition deteriorated, Vanessa became a constant, comforting presence. She'd check on us daily, always appearing at just the right moment. When I was overwhelmed, when the girls were getting restless, when Michelle needed space to rest. "Why don't I take Amanda and Miranda to the children's room?" she'd offer. "We have toys and books there. It might be good for them to play somewhere lighter." The girls took to her immediately. She had this way with children that seemed almost magical. She'd get down on their level, really listen when they talked, validate their feelings without talking down to them. She never said things like, "Be strong for mommy," or "Big girls don't cry." Instead, she'd say, "It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be scared. Those are normal feelings when someone we love is sick." Michelle noticed too. "She's wonderful with them," she said one afternoon, watching through the window as Vanessa played with the twins in the garden. "It's good they have someone like her right now. Someone who understands children and grief." The night Michelle died, Vanessa was there. Not in the room. She gave us privacy for those final moments, but nearby, ready to help when we needed her. After the nurses confirmed what I already knew, after I'd held Michelle one last time and whispered my goodbyes, I found Vanessa in the hallway with my daughters. They were coloring pictures at a small table, Vanessa between them, keeping them occupied while their world changed forever. When she saw me coming, she must have read it on my face. She simply nodded and opened her arms, and Amanda and Miranda ran to me. "Mommy went to heaven," I told them, holding them tight. "She's not sick anymore." That should have been the end of our connection to Vanessa. Grief counselors don't typically maintain relationships with families after their service ends. But Vanessa was different, or so I thought. A week after the funeral, she called to check in. She'd been thinking about us, she said, wondering how the girls were adjusting. Professional concern, nothing more. "Actually," I admitted, "they keep asking for you. You made quite an impression." "Well," she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice, "I do have some free time this weekend. Would it be inappropriate if I stopped by, just to see how they're doing?" I should have said yes, it would be inappropriate. I should have recognized the boundary being crossed. But I was drowning in grief and single parenthood, and someone was throwing me a lifeline. I grabbed it without checking what was attached to the other end. She came that Saturday with a bag of art supplies and spent 3 hours doing crafts with the girls. They made memory boxes for Michelle, decorated containers where they could keep special things that reminded them of Mommy. It was therapeutic, beautiful, and exactly what we needed. The visits became weekly, then twice weekly. Always focused on the girls, always appropriate, always helpful. She'd bring activities designed to help them express their feelings. She'd read books about loss in age-appropriate ways. She'd listen when they wanted to talk about Michelle and distract them when they needed to think about something else. "I don't know what we'd do without you," I told her one evening after she'd helped me get through a particularly difficult bedtime. The girls had been asking for Mommy to tuck them in, and nothing I did seemed to comfort them until Vanessa suggested we create a special Mommy kiss ritual, touching their foreheads the way Michelle used to and saying, "Mommy loves you to the moon and back." 6 months after Michelle's death, Vanessa made her first real move, though I didn't recognize it as such at the time. "I've been thinking," she said one evening after dinner. She'd started joining us for meals, always at the girls' insistence, of course. "My lease is up next month, and rent prices have gotten ridiculous. I was wondering, you have that guest room just sitting empty. What if I rented it from you? I could help with the girls more easily, and it would help us both financially." I hesitated. Felt like a big step having someone move in. But the logic was sound. I was paying for full-time childcare while working from home. Vanessa was already here most days anyway. The girls adored her, and the extra income would help. Michelle's treatments had drained our savings. "Just temporarily," she added quickly, sensing my reluctance, "until I find something better. And of course, we'd have clear boundaries. I'm not trying to. This is just a practical arrangement." I agreed. Of course I agreed. Because that's what you do when you're drowning and someone offers to help you float. You don't ask if they might be the one who pushed you into the water in the first place. The day Vanessa moved in was the day everything changed, though the changes came so gradually I didn't notice until it was almost too late. She arrived with just a few boxes and a suitcase, humble and grateful. Within a week, she'd implemented new bedtime routines, new meal schedules, new rules about screen time and outdoor play, always with explanations that made sense, always framed as being best for the girls. always presented with that warm smile and those understanding eyes. "You're transforming our house," I said one evening, half joking. She looked stricken. "Oh, David, I'm so sorry. I'm overstepping, aren't I? It's just, I see you struggling to manage everything, and I want to help. But you're right, this is your home. I'll put everything back." "No," I said quickly, feeling guilty for making her feel bad. "No, it's fine. The changes are good. I'm just not used to having help." That night, after the girls were asleep, she made tea and sat with me on the couch. "Can I ask you something personal?" I nodded. "Do you think you'll ever date again? I mean, not now, obviously, but someday?" The question caught me off guard. I don't know. Michelle made me promise to be open to it, but I can't imagine. "She sounds like she was wonderful," Vanessa said softly. "Thinking of your happiness even at the end. That's real love." The transformation from helpful houseguest to something more happened so slowly I couldn't pinpoint when it started. She began joining us for breakfast, not just dinner. Her temporary stay stretched from 1 month to 2, then 3, with no mention of apartment hunting. She started referring to the girls as ours in conversation, then catching herself with an embarrassed laugh. But the moment I truly began to see her differently came on a rainy Thursday evening, exactly 1 year after Michelle's death. I'd spent the day looking through photo albums, watching videos of Michelle with the girls, drowning in memories and what-ifs. Vanessa had taken the twins to the park, giving me space to grieve. When they returned that evening, I was on the couch, surrounded by photos, eyes red from crying. "Daddy sad?" Amanda asked, climbing into my lap. "Yeah, baby. Daddy's sad today. I miss Mommy." Vanessa stood in the doorway, watching us with an expression I couldn't quite read. Then she came over, sat beside us, and pulled all 3 of us into a hug. For a moment, just a moment, it felt like being held by Michelle again. That night, after the girls were in bed, Vanessa found me on the back porch, staring at the stars Michelle and I used to watch together. "I brought you something," she said, handing me a glass of whiskey, my favorite brand, though I didn't remember ever telling her that. She sat beside me with her own glass of wine. "You don't have to talk. I just didn't want you to be alone." We sat in silence for a while, then I found myself talking. About Michelle. About our dreams. About how lost I felt without her. "She made me promise to find love again," I said eventually. "But how can I ever trust someone with the girls' hearts? With my heart? When I know how quickly it can all be taken away." Vanessa was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Maybe you don't have to look for it. Maybe love finds you when you're ready. Maybe it comes disguised as friendship first, as help when you need it most, as someone who already loves your children like their own." I started noticing things I'd overlooked before. The way Vanessa's face softened when she looked at the girls. How she remembered every detail about their preferences. The way she'd hum while cooking, filling the house with warmth and life again. "You're humming Michelle's favorite song," I said one morning, recognizing the tune. She stopped abruptly, looking embarrassed. "Oh, I'm sorry. The girls taught it to me. They said Mommy used to sing it. I didn't mean to." "No, it's nice," I assured her. "It's nice to hear it again." One evening, about 14 months after Michelle's death, I came home from a particularly stressful client meeting to find the house transformed. Vanessa and the girls had decorated for autumn, Michelle's favorite season. Paper leaves in brilliant colors hung from the ceiling, pumpkins lined the mantel, and the air smelled like cinnamon and apples. "Surprise!" the girls shouted, running to hug me. We made autumn inside. That night, after a dinner of homemade soup and fresh bread, we carved pumpkins together. The girls' attempts were more abstract art than jack-o'-lanterns. but they were proud of them. "This is fun," Miranda announced. "Like a real family." The words hung in the air. Vanessa and I carefully didn't look at each other. "We are a real family, baby," I said finally. "Families come in all different shapes." "But Vanessa's not really our family," Amanda said matter-of-factly. "She's just our friend who lives here." "Is that what you think I am?" Vanessa asked gently. "Just a friend." Amanda considered this. "You're like a special friend, like an almost mommy." "An almost mommy," Vanessa repeated softly. "I like that." Later, after the girls were in bed, Vanessa and I cleaned up the pumpkin carnage together. The domesticity of it felt dangerously comfortable. "I think Michelle would be proud of how you've handled everything," she said. "The girls are thriving, despite their loss. You've built a stable, loving home for them. And I think she'd be happy that you've let someone help you." "I couldn't have done it without you," I said honestly. She turned to face me fully. "I need you to know something. When I first came here, it was just a job. But somewhere along the way, it became so much more. These girls, you, this family, you've become everything to me." "Vanessa, I'm not asking for anything," she said quickly. "I know it's too soon. I just needed you to know that I'm not here out of obligation or pity. I'm here because there's nowhere else I'd rather be." The next few weeks were charged with unspoken possibility. I found myself noticing things: the curve of her smile, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when concentrating, the grace in her movements. The girls seemed to sense the shift too. "Daddy," Amanda said one night as I tucked her in, "do you like Vanessa?" "Of course I like her, sweetheart. She's our friend." "No," Amanda said impatiently. "Do you like her? Like how you liked Mommy?" "I don't know," I told her honestly. "Grown-up feelings are complicated. I think Mommy would be okay with it," Amanda said matter-of-factly. "She wouldn't want you to be sad forever." The turning point came on a cold November evening. I'd had to work late, and when I finally got home, I found Vanessa asleep on the couch, a twin curled up on either side of her. They'd been watching a movie, and all three had dozed off. They looked like a family. My family. I stood there watching them, feeling something shift and settle in my chest. This was what Michelle had wanted for us. Not just someone to help with the girls, but someone to love them, to be part of their lives in a real way. Vanessa stirred, her eyes fluttering open. When she saw me, she smiled sleepily. "Hey, you're home." Home. Yes, this was home. And she was part of it now. We started having adult conversations after the girls went to bed, talking about our hopes and dreams, our fears about the future. Laura shared stories about her childhood, her past relationships, her dreams of having a family of her own. Our first kiss happened on Thanksgiving Day. My parents had come to visit, and Vanessa had thrown herself into preparations with enthusiasm, researching Michelle's recipes to recreate familiar dishes. After dinner, while my parents napped and the girls played, Vanessa and I cleaned up together. She was humming again, not Michelle's song this time, but something new. "Thank you," I said, drying the last dish, "for all of this, for making today special." "It was special for me too," she said softly. "I haven't had a real family Thanksgiving in, well, ever really." "This is your family now," I said without thinking. "If you want it to be." Instead of answering with words, I kissed her. "You." Daddy's kissing Nessa. We jumped apart to find Amanda and Miranda in the doorway. "Are you gonna get married now?" Miranda asked. Vanessa knelt down to their level. "How would you feel about that? If your daddy and I were more than friends?" The girls exchanged one of their twin looks. Then Amanda said, "Would you be our new mommy?" "I could never replace your mommy," Vanessa said carefully. But I would love to be your bonus mommy, if you'd let me. We dated officially for 3 months, though it felt like a formality since she already lived with us. I proposed on Valentine's Day, down on one knee in our living room with the girls as my co-conspirators. We married in April, a small ceremony in the backyard. The girls were flower girls and ring bearers. When we said our vows, we included promises to the girls too. I promise to love you as my own daughters, Vanessa told them, tears streaming down her face. To put your needs first, always. To be the mother you deserve. That night, Vanessa pulled out adoption papers. I want to adopt the girls, she said. I want to be their legal mother, not just their stepmother. I was touched but hesitant. This is a big step. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything, she said. The changes started small. Michelle's photos began disappearing from common areas. New rules appeared. The girls began pushing back. Mommy never made us do homework right after school, Amanda complained. Well, Vanessa said, her voice taking on an edge I'd never heard. I'm your mommy now, and I have different rules. My business was thriving, requiring more travel. Vanessa encouraged it enthusiastically. I can handle things here. That's what partners do. So I traveled. 2 days here, 3 days there. Always coming home to a spotless house and increasingly quiet children. 6 months after our wedding, I was scheduled to fly to Dallas, but the meeting was canceled last minute. Instead of calling Vanessa, I decided to surprise them. The house was empty at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. The girls should have been home. Vanessa had started homeschooling them. That's when I noticed her laptop open on the kitchen counter. The email on the screen made my blood run cold. The adoption is taking longer than expected. Dee is being cautious. The girls are becoming more manageable. The medication is helping. Once the adoption goes through and I have legal rights, we can move forward with the next phase. The insurance policies alone will set us up for life. 3 tragic accidents will be harder to stage than 1, but the payoff will be worth it. Patience, my love. Soon we'll have everything we've worked for. My phone rang. Vanessa. Hey, honey, she said, sounding normal. Just wanted to let you know the girls and I are at the park. When does your flight leave? I forced my voice to stay steady. Not for a few hours. Okay, honey. Have a safe flight. We love you. I forwarded the email to myself, took photos, and drove to a hotel. That night, I called the girls' pediatrician. Actually, yes, Dr. Patterson said. Your wife brought them in about 2 months ago. She was concerned about ADHD symptoms. I prescribed a mild stimulant. I called my lawyer. Jim, I need you to look into someone. Vanessa Martinez, now Thompson. Everything you can find. What he found changed everything. Vanessa Martinez didn't exist before 5 years ago. Her real name was Victoria Marsh, with a history that made my skin crawl. 2 previous marriages. Both to widowers with young children. Both men died within 2 years. Accidents. The children were removed by child services shortly before their fathers' deaths. She'd collected life insurance payouts both times. The investigator found police reports, hospital records, interviews. The pattern was horrifying. First husband, cardiac arrest while driving. Second husband, drove into a tree. Both had million-dollar policies. All 3 children recovered completely after being removed from her care. I had to play normal while planning our escape. Every smile, every kiss felt like swallowing broken glass. The girls were getting sicker. Amanda was vomiting. Miranda was lethargic. Vanessa suggested that residential program again. That night, I woke at 3 a.m. to find Vanessa's side empty. I heard her on the phone downstairs. Tomorrow night. Yes, all 3. The girls are already weak. Make it look like a gas leak. Yes, I'll make sure he takes his usual nightcap. The Ambien will keep him under. I pretended to be sick the next morning. I think I caught what the girls have. Vanessa's eyes lit up with false concern. Here, let me make you some tea. I pretended to drink it, spilling most. Around noon, I told her I was feeling better and needed to run some errands. Banking stuff, I said vaguely, might take a few hours. Take your time, she said, that false smile playing on her lips. The girls and I will have a quiet afternoon. Instead of the bank, I drove straight to my lawyer's office. Jim listened in horror as I played the record of the call Vanessa made. We need more evidence, he said. Let me call a private investigator I know, and we should contact the police. I spent the next 3 hours in meetings, first with Jim, then with Detective Morrison at the police station, then with a private investigator who specialized in fraud cases. They all said the same thing: we needed more evidence, something concrete. Go home, act normal, Detective Morrison advised. We'll start surveillance tomorrow. Whatever you do, don't tip her off. As I left the police station around 5 p.m., the sky opened up. The rain came down in sheets, and lightning cracked across the darkening sky. Something about the storm made my skin crawl. That parental instinct kicked in hard. I needed to get home. Now, I called Vanessa as I drove through the torrential rain. No answer. I tried again. Nothing. The windshield wipers could barely keep up with the downpour as I turned onto our street. Our house was completely dark except for the porch light. Vanessa's car wasn't in the driveway. Then my headlights swept across the front of the house, and my heart stopped. Amanda and Miranda were huddled against our front door, trying to shelter under the tiny overhang. They were in their princess pajamas, soaking wet, holding each other as lightning illuminated their terrified faces. I don't even remember parking. One moment I was driving, the next I was running through the rain, scooping them into my arms. Daddy, they sobbed. You came back. How long have you been out here? Since the rain started, Amanda cried. Nessa said we were bad. She said we had to stay outside until we learned our lesson. She left in her car, Miranda added through chattering teeth. She said she'd know if we came inside because of the cameras. I carried them inside, rage and panic fighting for control. I needed blankets, towels, dry clothes. As I rushed to the linen closet, I passed through the kitchen and saw it. Vanessa's laptop, still open on the counter. In her rush to leave and establish her alibi before the storm hit, she'd made a crucial mistake. The email on the screen confirmed everything. Tonight's the night. The storm is perfect cover. I'm heading to book club for my alibi. Sarah can confirm I was there. Marcus, wait until 8 p.m. then proceed. Make sure the gas leak looks accidental. David already drank the tea this morning, so he should be groggy. The girls are locked outside. Bring them in before you start so it looks like they were all inside together. My poor husband and stepdaughters. Such a tragic accident. The insurance papers are in the safe. My hands shook as I photographed everything. Then I saw another email below it. The adoption delay is frustrating, but it doesn't matter now. 3 deaths will set us up for life. $5 million in insurance plus the house and his business. We'll disappear to Costa Rica like we planned. I wrapped my daughters in blankets and ran for the car. As we pulled away, I saw headlights in the distance. A van approaching our street. Daddy, where are we going? Amanda asked. Somewhere safe, baby. Somewhere safe. I drove straight to the hospital, calling Detective Morrison on the way. She's making her move tonight. She locked my daughters in the storm and left to establish an alibi. Someone named Marcus is coming to stage our deaths. We need help now. At the hospital, as doctors treated my daughters for exposure and chronic poisoning, Police units surrounded our house, catching Marcus in the act of tampering with our gas lines. Vanessa was arrested at her book club, still pretending to be the concerned stepmother when the officers arrived. The evidence was overwhelming: the emails, Marcus's confession, the girl's testimony, and the months of medical records showing systematic poisoning. But the worst revelation was yet to come. The girls were still undergoing treatment. During her confession, she revealed the worst truth. She'd been watching us for 3 years before Michelle got sick. She'd arranged for Michelle's false cancer diagnosis through a corrupt lab technician. The treatments for a disease Michelle never had were what killed her. She wasn't murdered, Vanessa said with a cold smile. She was medically mismanaged. The trial revealed a network targeting widowers. Vanessa got life in prison. But the verdict wasn't the end. The girls had to heal. I sold my business, moved us across town, slept on their floor for months. There were nightmares, therapy, good days and bad. "Daddy," Amanda said one day, "you saved us. I put you in danger." "No," Miranda said. "Vanessa put us in danger. When you realized the truth, you didn't hesitate. That's what matters." 5 years have passed. Amanda channels her strength into martial arts. Miranda expresses herself through art. They're thriving. Last year, I met Grace, a widow with a son. We took things slowly, letting the kids lead. "She's nice," Miranda said. "Not fake nice. Real nice. She doesn't try to be our mom," Amanda added. "She's just Grace. And that's good. We've been dating 8 months, taking it slow. We're all a little broken, but maybe that's what makes it work." Last month, we learned Vanessa died in prison. The girls felt nothing. "She's been dead to us for years," they said. The girls are planning their 13th birthday next month. A normal party with normal drama. Grace is helping. It's beautifully ordinary. And that's the real victory. Not just that we survived, but that we found our way back to ordinary. To birthday parties and homework complaints and all the mundane miracles we almost lost. Vanessa thought she could destroy us. She was wrong. Love won. It always does. Not fake love, but real love. Messy, imperfect, unbreakable love. The kind that saves you in storms. If you're reading this because you've been through something similar, know that healing is possible. If you're worried about your children, trust your instincts. Don't let politeness stop you from protecting your kids. What would you do to protect the people you love? How far would you go? Drop a comment and let me know, because that's what this story is really about. Not the evil that tried to destroy us, but the love that refused to let it win. We made it through the storm, and on the other side we found a life worth living, a future worth building, a love worth protecting. Hold your loved ones close, trust your instincts, and remember, no storm lasts forever. The sun always comes out again. Sometimes you just have to be brave enough to wait for it. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as interesting and even more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out.